How about making a spectacular dessert here? We're going to make something that's very bastard-like in the creation, because we're going to make some cupcakes. They're going to have cocoa in, and they're going to have dark chocolate, but they're also going to have some Baileys and some Guinness and some Irish whiskey in too. These things, they're not that complicated. It just takes a little time to make something, like most of the things we end up doing here, probably longer than they should naturally take. But we're going to start right now with our Guinness here. This is Guinness Stout, and I'm going to be making 12 cupcakes, and I have a half a cup of Guinness I'm going to pour into my pan here. And then I got 1 stick of unsalted butter. And I'm going to melt the butter. You know, while we're watching the butter melt, you might want to think about going to cooklikeabastard.com, where you can find all of our shows, and you can find some great merchandise, because you want to look like a bastard. Now, as long as we're stirring, let's talk a little bit about this bastard thing, because sometimes people go, hey bastard. I want to make very clear to you, especially you there, that I'm not a bastard. I just cook like a bastard. It's kind of the technique we use in this studio, kind of a free and easy bastard-like technique. And we're still melting butter. So after we melted the butter, we're going to pour in our cocoa. Now we have unsweetened cocoa, and we got about 2/3 of a cup or so. We're going to mix this in, quickly whisk it in, and then we're going to let it cool. Alrighty then, we're letting the chocolate stout chill just a little bit, and we're going to mix our dry ingredients together. We're going to take a little bit of salt, some soda, some sugar, a little flour, and just a hint of everybody's favorite, cream of tartar. Tartar! Or tartar. Alright, so we'll take our whisk right here and just mix this stuff up just a little bit here. Very quickly. And then we're thinking about our moisture ingredients, which are over here. So we're going to take our egg, just 1 egg, and some sour cream, about 1/3 of a cup of sour cream. And take our electric mixer. Mix this in together. Look at the beautiful golden yellowness we're making. It's beautiful, it's golden, and it's yellow there. You know, there's one fix for the yellownesses. You put the chocolatenesses in there, and that's going to make the yellownesses disappear and become more chocolatenesses, because we're making chocolatenesses goodnessness. You can look that up on the interweb if you want. Or you can go to cooklikeabastard.com, find out a lot of nonsensical words that we make up during the show. And cooking techniques at the same time. Because that's what we're about here. It smells really good. Not to the extent of needing smell-o-vision yet. Although, I'm sure before we're done, smell-o-vision will be needed. So we mix this in with our hand mixer again. Our electric hand mixer. So we're mixing the stout. Remember, we had Guinness in here. Yes, we did. If you're nipping off the rest of the bottle, you may not be remembering that at this stage. And I bet you that sounds good. The audio guy was freaking out with that mixer. That's why we stopped the whole mixing process. And then we put mix our dry ingredients into here. And then we use my whisk to mix it up here. Because it doesn't make much noise. It makes for much better television. Even the television you watch on that interwebs that you hear so much about on the television. So we've mixed up our chocolate stout goodness here. We're going to fill up. We have a dozen little cupcake tins here. We've heated our oven up to 350 degrees. We're going to put these in there for about 16 minutes. This little ice cream scoop here is just a great idea. It gives about the right size for each of the cupcakes, so you don't have to worry about guessing, because baking is big enough of a guessing game, let alone the whole measuring process, which is sometimes a guessing game for me. So here you go. We got the cupcakes ready. We're going to put in the oven at 350 for about 16 minutes or so. We're going to make a delicious Grenache featuring a little Irish whiskey here. We're going to start with about 4 ounces of chocolate that we're going to kind of dice up just a little bit here. Careful with your fingers. So this is a bittersweet. And what you're doing, I'm also at the same time, I'm heating up some heavy cream here over a low heat. But I want that to warm up because the heat of that is what is going to melt the chocolate. Goes into the bowl here. Take a little quick temperature of our cream to see where it's at yet. We're going to wait a little bit for this cream because we have our thermometer here handy. Because a bastard, not that I'm a bastard, but if someone is cooking like a bastard, is going to have all the tools available for them whenever they can. So we're heating up the cream, not too much to boil, but enough to be hot enough to melt all this cocoa chocolate. So I'm going to pour it over here. You're going to want to let this sit for about a minute before you stir it. So we've let this sit for about a minute, and now we are stirring the melted chocolate. It melted very nicely. That's because we cut it up really small. You don't want big chunks in here. So let's put a little butter in here. Kind of chop up the butter. Oh, that's smooth and good. Next to perfect, as they say. And if you didn't know what was coming this time, I might be going, I think it's missing a little something. But you know what it's missing. It's missing the whiskey. So I'm going to put a teaspoon in. Whoops. Or a tablespoon. You know how that goes. In for a teaspoon, out for a tablespoon, as they say. Woo doggy! The tablespoon, it makes a difference. So we're going to mix these up. You got to let this chill a little bit before we fill it in. And we're going to go check on the cupcakes. Woo doggy! There's going to be some drunk Americans. You know, use a toothpick to test the cupcakes to make sure they're done. And I like to use a clean, long one like that. And when it comes out clean, it means your cupcakes are ready to be filled. Okay, we got these cats out of the oven, and they are done, as we saw by our little toothpick testing method. We still don't know what happened to the other two. We know there are little elves that go around in the bastard studio every time, and that's what we think the case might be. We're going to let these things cool. We're letting the Grenache cool, and let's think a little bit about how we might be topping these things and make a little frosting. Now we're going to make the frosting, which features a little Bailey's Irish cream. But before we get to the Bailey's, we got to put about a half stick of unsalted butter in here. And then we're going to mix this up with our electric mixer. And then when we whip it up, we're going to slowly put our powdered sugar in. You know, I'm not that good with this slowly, but we're going to try. I have 2 cups of powdered sugar here. I probably won't use all of it. Then we'll start pouring in the Baileys. I got about 1/3 of a cup. And you kind of gauge how that looks with the general thickness. When you pour the rest of it in, then if you need to do a little more, you just pour a little more powdered sugar in. And if it gets too thick, then you pour a little more Baileys in. And then a little more powdered sugar, then a little more Baileys. Okay. Then after you get done with the frosting, you just let it sit for a few minutes when it's time to top these nummy cupcakes. All right, we got to this point. Now we need to fill the cupcakes with the ganache. And, well, there's no hole in here. But what bastard, now not that I'm a bastard, but what bastard wouldn't have the right tool for this? So I'm going to see what kind of tools we might have available for us here. Ooh, a little zester. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. I think it's going to be the apple core we're going to use to cut a little hole. So what we are going to do here, we're going to take our cupcake and just go in the center, cut a little hole, take it out, set it down, poof the hole out, and then fill it up with the ganache. Now I put the ganache in my little cupcake filler here. You just push it through here. Pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, and woo! Till we get a little nubbin right here. Let's do this process one more time, because that was kind of fun. Take my little cutter here. Take the chopstick, because we use chopsticks to make it international food. Fill it up, you get one last nubbin, and now we get to put the frosting on. We had so much fun with the ganache nubbinization process. Now we're going to cover up with some nummy Bailey's frosting. I'm also using my cupcake filler right now to put a different tip on it, and it's pretty simple. You just do your little twirly things, and oh, look at that, pretty and good. Do it again. Around and around, and pretty and good. One more time.
He cooks like a bastard.
Pretty and good.
He's not a bastard, but cooks like one too. Don't miss that little something and cook like a bastard today. He cooks like a bastard, so can you. He's not a bastard, but cooks like one too. Don't miss that little something and cook like a bastard today.
David,